Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and welcome to No Budget Reviews, the series where we go around the country finding cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and filming them with absolutely no money at all. So we have to use my phone, no microphones, no fancy DSLRs, nothing like that. Just good honest cars that you can buy for very little money and you can enjoy driving. No Budget Reviews does bring me to the most glamorous situations you can possibly imagine, and today is no exception whatsoever. This is a 2009 Proton Savvy 1.2 style. You can tell it's a style because of these rather fetching alloy wheels. This car is owned by a friend of mine called Karen, and she's just bought it for the princely sum of £650. Proton Savvy is quite a rare car now. They didn't sell an awful lot of them. This is the facelifted model. You can tell this because the rear end is a little bit sort of simpler, and so is the front grille. It doesn't have a little sort of hooded peak on it, which the earlier cars did. Cheeky little exhaust in the middle. For a cheap car, I don't think this actually looks that bad. The side profile's not perhaps to my taste, but the front and rear aren't actually that bad. I do apologise if you've got wind noise and stuff like that here. It's just sort of the way that it goes on No Budget Reviews. What we'll do first of all is probably take a little look inside, which I'm pleased to say is a little bit better than the City Rover that was recently on the channel. Oh gosh, I've got aircraft noise as well now, that's interesting. Okay, let's put that down there. There's only a two-seater in the back of here, that's interesting. The doors are incredibly light, and actually the check strap on both these rear doors appear to have malfunctioned, so they just kind of swing about on their own, which in a windy day like this isn't really the best. Nothing exciting at the back. No Proton Savvies came with things like rear door pockets or electric rear windows. They're all window winders at the back, which isn't necessarily a problem really. I mean, you know, don't really need electric rear windows in a really cheap car. Hard plastic, which doesn't feel very good, but doesn't look particularly good, but I'm sure it's alright. Might get in the back actually, because it's a bit nasty out here. Headroom is okay, it's not the best. I'm 5'11". Karen's a little bit shorter than me. It's not the most room I've ever had in a car, but it's better than a Mark II Renault Clio, which is one of the cars that I've always thought has the least amount of headroom that you can possibly imagine for a car that should be better. It's a bit dark in here today, the weather's really bad, but there we go. No rear armrest, split folding seats, 50-50. It's not the most luxurious car. It's probably not as good as a contemporary Fiesta or something, but I suppose compared with something like a Hyundai Amica, Kia Picanto, something like that of the era, it's not too bad. Picanto's a little bit nicer, I think, probably than this, but we're way ahead of something like a City Rover. Little cup holder down there, and a big floor mat that's sort of part of the whole rear rather than separate ones. That's interesting. Right, I suppose we could take a look in the boot. Annoyingly, the only way to release the boot of the Proton Savvy is to reach down there. There is no keyhole on the back, which, yeah, it's fixed, isn't it? That's very annoying. Oh, squeaky gas struts. Yeah, we've actually got a parcel shelf that attaches properly. That's an advantage. There's the original Clarion radio. We'll speak more about that in a minute. Gosh, this is a 59 plate car, and that was apparently made on the 10th of November 2008. Interesting. Screen wash, de-icer, all kinds of things. Boot's about 200 litres or so, which isn't too bad for this class of car. Bigger than something like a VW Lupo or a Seat Rossa. Space, save a spare wheel in there. And space to... don't know what you put in there actually. Something. And we've got a boot light as well. Excellent. Unusually for a Proton, this actually has a Renault engine in it. It's a 1.2 D-Type engine. It's called the D4F, and it generates around 75 brake horsepower. All Proton Savvies came with the same engine. There is an automatic available, but this is a manual car. So you can see the front of the car, we are on the latest style grille, which doesn't have a sort of hooded peak on it, and because this is a style model, it has some rather nice fog lights. I do like the colour of the car. It is rather nice. Not a lot of room to work on the engine. This is a cam belt engine, and it's supposed to be replaced every 5 years, but I mean, these days if you're buying a Savvy, and these cars do cost well under £1,000 mostly, you know, a lot of the people wouldn't have bothered doing a cam belt, so it's just something to be aware of when you're buying one. So you can see it's got a Renault component on there, because this is after all a Renault engine. And we've got a Renault belt down there too. It's all very interesting. I'm not the hugest fan of Renault products, as you probably have worked out from many years of making videos on this channel, but you know, it's probably better than that engine that was in the City Rover, isn't it? Right, lift up this door handle, which, oh dear, a little flex in it. Got 2 electric windows. We've got manually adjustable mirrors as well. Let's take a seat in here. Immediately, the driving position of this is a lot better than something like the City Rover, or actually a lot of other cars I've driven, including a Kia Picanto. That's a bit too high up for me. This feels alright. The wheel doesn't really adjust, but it kind of looks like an old Porsche wheel or something. We've got these fake drilled aluminium bolts on here, but a plastic. That's quite a feature of Proton design of the era. The Proton Satria Neo famously had a petrol filler flat that was like that too. Got these rather natty yellow dials. I don't know if they're supposed to be based on a Ferrari or something. The Clarion Stereo would have fitted nicely in there, but this is a modern JVC unit with aux in and USB. Got air conditioning in this car, and I'm assured by Karen it does actually work. Glove box. There's not a lot of damping in that, but it doesn't really need to be. It does seem to be a reasonable size. Not sure exactly what size that is, but there we go. Wonder what that does. Not sure. So front and rear fog lights and a rear heated window. I don't really know what that button does. That's strange. We'll be able to press it later on and see if it explodes. Immediately, yeah, better, much better feeling stalks in this than something like the City Rover. It's comparable to something like a Kia Picanto of the era. And actually the pre-facelift Picantos had the indicator stalk on the right hand side and not on this side. So they clearly have actually thought about what we prefer in our market. This mirror doesn't seem to want to adjust. It's really strange. I don't want to break that, so I'll leave it. Conventional handbrake, although it's a very, very weird design. Proton were really having their game on at the time, and things like the Gen 2 Persona and the Satria Neo had really kind of weird little touches in them, sort of Mercedes-Benz style seats and Mercedes style instruments in the Gen 2 Persona. Perhaps I should do a Gen 2 Persona. Let me know in the comments section below if I get hold of one, of course. Not the highest quality plastic, but at least it feels quite durable. It doesn't feel like everything's going to fall off like in the City Rover. Yeah, these panel gates wouldn't have been on original Clarion unit. Very tiny door pockets for some reason. Not really sure why. Should there be something there? I don't know. It seems to be just a hole for stuff. Presume it's a coin tray. Presume that's the alarm, that flashing light. And a little tray for putting a pen or something under there. Dual front airbags in this car. I don't think it has side airbags, I'm not 100% sure. Let's start her up. Just very, very carefully transfer hand and just see if she starts. The handbrake's on, so it should be okay. Gosh, is that the fuel gauge and the temperature gauge together? That's absolutely tiny. Got a very good eyesight to drive this car. Let's try this clutch. Oh my gosh. Whoa, that's a stiff clutch. Oh my gosh. It's worse than the 187 Rover 25. It was a cable clutch. That is. Ooh, that's awful. That's going to make an interesting drive, isn't it? Handling by Lotus, eh? We'll see about that. Hey, time for a little drive in the Proton Savvy. I used to have a Proton myself back in the day. It was a 1993 Proton 1.3 MPI GLS saloon, and I bought it off a lady in Essex for 200 of your English pounds, which I don't know if it was worth it or not. It being the same family from new, and I might put a picture of it in the video somewhere. Right, this clutch, which I think is a cable operated clutch, Karen did warn me about it, and it's not great, to be honest. It's a little bit on the heavy side. Oh, the rev counter is intermittently working as well.
Yeah, that's true.
It sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. As you can see, Karen is sitting on the left back of the car because we're just trying to socially distance, because that's what Boris tells us we have to do. It's probably better, really. Yeah, the suspension's not bad, actually. It's not as bad as City Rover. Gosh, that was awful. Mirrors are absolutely tiny. It's quite difficult to see, actually.
I would say that, I'd agree.
They're really tiny little mirrors. We're just going for a drive in the outskirts of Eastleigh here. It's nothing too sort of extraordinary. I know there's a speed bump down here which will be test for suspension. The engine's got enough power. I think it's actually reasonably smooth. Yeah, the steering's really nice. Wow.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like this gearbox. You know, I don't like Renault gearboxes generally in life. That's just something I don't like. It's a bit like sort of the old gearbox that used to be in the old Citroen Saxos and Peugeot 106s. Yeah, and I passed my test in a Saxo, and there's a review of that actually on my channel from last year as part of a Two Jacket review series, and yeah, it's not my favourite really. Don't know what it is. I have a degree in French and I have French family, but I don't really like a lot of French cars. Some of them I do, but even the sort of components in them, you can kind of tell what they've come from a certain place. Gosh, that rev count is really strange. Don't know why it's doing that.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Indeed, it's a bit intermittent. I know that's a.
Sometimes it's completely on the bottom and doesn't move at all, and then you tap it and it works again.
Well, there we go. The ride's okay. This is clearly kind of verging on the sporty side rather than the comfort side, which is sort of opposite to Renaults I've driven in the past. So the suspension's clearly not that sort of biased, but yeah, the steering's actually really, really nice. It's a huge surprise. Brakes feel absolutely fine. Yeah, gearbox it's all right. It's not. You actually know what gear you're in, unlike the City Rover where you just don't. I am planning on having a Citroen C3 on No Budget reviews soon, and I'll obviously tell you what I think about that too. Yeah, this clutch does take a bit of getting used to. It is like the old cable clutches used to be on a Rover 25, and I was never very fond of those. Doesn't matter if it have, on that one if they had the R65 or the IB5 gearbox, they were always, for me, a bit funny. Some people actually say they're okay. No, it drives. It drives all right. It's just literally just that clutch is a bit of a problem. The gearbox has gone a bit floppy, but then the car's done 77,000 miles. It's over 10 years old. You know, you can't expect everything. Yeah, the balance they've got when they engineered the chassis, I don't know if Lotus had much to do with this, but it's really not. It's really not that bad. It's actually, you might even say it's a bit of fun actually. Right, get to this roundabout and then we'll switch the camera angle. Viewers, it seems we're having one of the most dramatic road tests in history. We almost got struck by lightning. It's turning into a bit of an adventure. Just literally driving around Eastleigh this afternoon. So now we've avoided the thunder and the lightning. What does this car feel like in traffic? Well, brakes are actually okay. The accelerator's not too bad. Handbrake's okay. You have to hold it in a slightly different way, but it's not too bad. The air conditioning is keeping the windows nice and clear. You'd expect that from a car from a very hot country like Malaysia. Levels of refinement aren't too bad. It's not too noisy in here. Yeah, the clutch is biting a little bit on the high side, but that's nothing unusual. There we go. Hopefully we get through a set of lights here. One advantage of this car is it's quite narrow, so yeah, there's the gap. There we go. There we go. See if we can actually get up to sort of 40 in this. No, oh, no, we can't, because a foreign lorry driver hasn't seen me, and he almost took us out. Well, that's very nice. Thank you very much. Just as well that view was not towards him. I have got my lights on, by the way, viewers. I'm a sensible driver after all. Oh, he's going this way as well. That's a bit of a shame. It's yeah, the ride is on the firm side. It's okay though, because actually it's really not that bad to drive. It just feels a little bit sporty. It's not got the most power. I think 0 to 60 in this car is about 14 seconds or something. It's even slower with the automatic gearbox. And in terms of fuel economy, the average figures of the day showed something like 50 miles per gallon, which, you know, again, I think you'll agree is pretty good. I mean, those are on the old NEDC figures, so you can take them with a pinch of salt, but, you know, there we go. Yeah, it's not too bad considering, you know, how much this car actually cost. It's not a bad drive. It's just this clutch might give you a few problems, but I think, yes, if you really wanted one of these, you'd have to get used to it unless you go for the auto. Right, well, you must be back, because there's my lovely Rover. Just watch some of my reversing skills in this. Ooh, there's a little buzzer thing that comes on when you go into reverse. Okay. So there we are, viewers. Should you buy a Proton Savvy? It really depends. The Rover 25 has a similar kind of clutch to this, and so do many older cars fitted with the cable operated mechanisms. Some people find these absolutely fine, some people don't. Karen's just told me that they're considering actually selling this particular car and possibly buying a new MG3, a car that's very close to my heart. So yes, obviously if you wish to buy this car, it's actually in quite a good condition for one of these, and you know, it's not a lot of money really. I think it's the amount of money they paid for it's pretty fair. Then obviously get in touch, japl745@hotmail.com. If you do find one of these in good condition, it's been well looked after, it's got a nice load of stamps and service book, and you know, the tyres are all good and everything, then this could be a really good option. The insurance isn't particularly expensive on one of these. I don't think parts are particularly expensive. Because it's a Renault engine, it's easily available as well. Certainly in comparison to a lot of other cars I've driven. Obviously the Citroen C3 will be the big comparison when that comes up in a couple of weeks. Then yeah, it could well be. There's one or two, you know, age shortcomings that this car has, and that's the same for a lot of cars of this age, but yes, I quite enjoy driving it actually. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching this episode of No Budget Reviews. Please don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and don't forget to visit my Facebook page, facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, or indeed my website, www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. Thank you.